Today, we are going to create your own little mini-me. We're going to clone you. My name is Ifat Cohen. I am the CMO of Nom.ai, and with me is Danny Hindi, the CEO and the creator of the genius behind all that stuff. And we're going to create something like Cassidy for you. Cassidy is our customer support agent. What we're going to be doing today, very quickly, is in the next 60 minutes, we're going to talk about why virtual AI assistants matter, not human assistants. We are going to let you know what you need in order to create a clone of you that actually will work for your needs and your business and what you're trying to achieve. There are 3 different kinds. Today, you're going to choose one. We're going to work on it. And after you chose that one and you worked on it, you'll be able to create the other ones if you want as well. We're going to talk about the content essentials. You should have gotten an email with everything in it to have you ready for today. If you don't have all of it, if you didn't have the time, if you don't know what I'm talking about, don't worry about it, because you'll be able to upload that later on. And we're actually going to do this together. We're going to share our screen and everybody's going to be like, click here. And by the end of it, you're going to have your own chatbot. And if you stay till the end, we have 3 surprise bonuses for you. So totally worth your time to stick around. Before we get started, I would love to know, what business are you in? E-commerce, coaching, speaking, brick and mortar, so that we can apply what we are teaching to what you are trying to achieve. So put it in the comment. What business are you in? Speaking and coaching, coaching, consulting, biz to biz consulting. Okay, consulting. Awesome. Workplace communication training. So that's like consulting as well, training and consulting. So most of us are in the education, inspiring with our IP, with our knowledge. Men goals appeal model. Super cool. So what I'm going to do, I'm going to stop sharing my screen. I'm going to pass the mic to Danny, and we are going to dive straight into it.
Excellent. Thank you, Fat, for that intro and getting us all up to speed on what we're doing. Today, we're going to create a virtual chatbot. Now, that can be for customer support. It could be an SDR on your website to help vet out leads and qualify them before they're passed on to schedule a demo. This could be a virtual clone of you, where if you're in coaching and not everybody necessarily has the means to maybe hire you on a one-on-one basis because of your particular rates, you could create a virtual clone of you that gives them a taste of what they can do in the meanwhile until they can afford you or until they're ready to communicate with you. It also helps alleviate a lot of the pressure internally on your own companies. So the first thing we want to talk about is, what can a chatbot do? We've all seen bad chatbots. If you go to certain telecommunication companies and look, oh, they have a chatbot, great. I don't have to be waiting online or on the phone for an hour and a half before somebody answers. You go in and you realize it's just 3 boxes with pre-canned answers, and it really doesn't do much. We're not going to do that. We're actually going to create something of value today. The time answering questions for your customers, for your potential leads. Hopefully you get that time back with a chatbot. Making sure that you qualify them before they book a meeting with you. Alleviating some of the pressure for those of you who do have customer support. If you're not doing your own customer support, your own web interactions with everyone, visiting your website, that it could actually provide a consistent, up-to-date experience for your customers. If you hire a new customer support rep, you have good ones, you have bad ones, you have new ones, you have old ones, and sometimes it's difficult to onboard them and get them to provide value to your customers quickly. Sometimes that takes 2-3 months before you're comfortable putting them in front of customers. An AI chatbot will represent you consistently every single time and help onboard any new rep that you have to make sure that they're providing the most up-to-date information, the accurate information. It's great with chatbots because it takes only minutes to train it. And then once it's updated with any new information you have, it remembers it forever. The amount of time spent with a customer, you see a lot of representatives spending 80% of their time answering repetitive questions over and over again. And the problem is, the customers that really need your help are rushed, because I can only book 15-minute one-on-one with you to nurture you and make sure that you go through the funnel, because I need to jump into a meeting. I have a pile of tickets piling up, and I need to rush through it really quick. So the idea is to change from support to more success, and softly upsell your visitors into becoming customers. And if they're existing customers, that they remain customers and move them up the value chain. Dealing with inquiries that come in after hours, inquiries that come in on weekends, on holidays, in different languages. Our chatbots can deal with all of this. normalizing out the peaks and valleys of how many requests you get. Again, Monday morning, there's a pile of requests that came in on my website, and I have to go through them on Monday because I'm off on the weekend. My staff is off on the weekend. It helps alleviate a lot of those pressures. For those of us who do have some staff, I may have one person replying back. That could be my assistant. I could have dedicated people that are on my website answering questions. Let's say I have one. What happens when that one leaves? They're on vacation. What happens? All that it gets piled on, weights, or is on your shoulder. If I have two and they're pretty busy, let's say that they're at 80% capacity and I want to hire the third one, can't necessarily justify 40-hour a week engagement with a new hire, but because they're two at 80% capacity, if one goes on vacation, what happens to the other one? They're at 160% capacity, and there's an issue if they leave us because they're overburdened. So these are the common issues that chatbots are meant to alleviate. And again, whether it's a customer support rep, sales, or virtual you, hopefully we can measure success when we go in. Any questions so far?
We have one from Sarah. The question is privacy and proprietary information. AI using what I share to learn, and then others are being able to use my voice.
We at Nom.ai, and we'll show you this when we go through the actual workshop itself, we have pre-trained agents on our side that we gave it our knowledge. You can then augment that with your additional knowledge that is not being used publicly. It's only yours. We will never look at that information. We will never use that information. You can create your own custom chatbot, and we'll show you that as well today, where it's siloed to your own personal information and that your own personal chatbot or your own custom agent. And we'll explain a little bit of the difference between what's the difference between a chatbot and an agent. But that's all your information. We will not access that information. One thing to keep in mind, though, is we are an all-in-one platform. So what we do is we have our own AI, but we also integrate with all the top models that are out there, from ChatGPT, OpenAI, Claude, Gemini, Grok, all the AIs that are out there. And we use them. We know when to use which model depending on the problem. And so that information will go and get trained, for example, on OpenAI or in Claude or in Gemini. And the level of privacy that you want to provide there needs to keep that in mind. For example, we do have enterprise accounts with all of these models. So we get the top level. And because we pool everybody on Nom.ai into our account, everybody immediately gets enterprise. However, you probably shouldn't be putting social security numbers. You probably shouldn't be putting HIPAA compliant records. And that's generally the case for all AI that you use, unless it's hosted on your servers, you have some sort of extra hardening of the security and data. We generally say your IP is secure, but you never want to necessarily put social security numbers or HIPAA compliant records. We generally ask people to obfuscate before you do that, like just hide the social security number. The rest of the information is what the AI can help you with, and so on. Does that give you a sufficient answer of the level of security you should be dealing with AI?
And also, Sarah, what we're doing today is we're creating a chatbot, not an agent. We'll get into that. So there's a little bit of a difference between what a chatbot can do and the functions and the abilities and all that stuff versus what an agent can do. So when you design an agent, you can start putting all the functions in and have it fetch things and hide things and all that stuff. Right now, we're talking on the super basic level of either lead gen, customer support, or education bot. The next question is, will it only work for WordPress? I use TypeDream.
Any web platform that you have, it'll work with it. We have integration specifically with WordPress through a plugin or Wix, but really at the end of the day, it's HTML, JavaScript, and CSS. We give you a little snippet that you can place in your Shopify store, where this is Shopify Liquid, but it's JavaScript at the end of the day. You just paste it in there. We just ask, make sure that you're comfortable doing that. We definitely don't want to break your website, but it's literally a paragraph worth of JavaScript code that you could put in there. And if you're comfortable doing that, you could actually do a lot more than what the plugin allows, the WordPress plugin, because you could customize it further if you're comfortable doing that. But it should work on any web platform. There's actually mobile platforms that it works with as well that can accept some JavaScript in there, like the Buildfire platform. You're able to do that. But no, it works on any web platform. The difference is do we have a particular plugin that's catered to that platform, or is it you just copy and paste a little bit of JavaScript?
So let's get started with planning the chatbot, and we'll take more of the questions. I think most of your questions are going to be answered by the end of it. So let's actually do this, and through practice, things are going to come up. And then you can be like, what do I do with this and with that? So we'll leave the theory. Let's go into the practical. Let's talk about planning your chatbot. What do you need to do before you even start creating a chatbot for yourself?
It's very important to understand what are our goals with the chatbot. Is it customer support? Is it lead gen? Is it vetting out leads to make sure that our sales demos aren't overbooked? Is it education? Is it coaching? What is it that we're trying to do and how do we measure success? It's very important to do that so that once we understand where we're going, we can carve out a path to get there. But if we just start off with, I don't know where I'm going, and we're just asking, you're going to get basically a chat GPT type experience, which is good in the first couple of questions, but after that, it starts falling apart. So one of the things we do for a proprietary chatbot that we're going to create today that is specific to me is you want to make sure that the chatbot stays on topic, for example. I don't want to be your own free chat GPT. I don't want you to come in and ask me who won World War II and the chatbot answers, and I'm paying for that. We don't want to do that. So being clear on what is your roles, what are your goals, what are the expected outcomes? Here are the things I want you to do. Here are the things I don't want you to do. I want you to be aware of my brand. This is my brand. This is what we do. These are products and services. I don't want you to answer anything outside of that. If somebody asks you something outside of that, be polite and say, hey, I only know what these products and services are for my company. Other than that, sorry, I can't help you. Staying on topic, knowing when to escalate in the scenario where this is a front-facing, public-facing chatbot on your website trying to get people to buy your products and services. It's important when to escalate to a human. That could be at the severity of the question. And it could be, hey, this looks like it needs a sales rep in. They're coming in as a high ticket value customer. Let's make sure that we get somebody that's from sales to talk to them. When to escalate to a human. Now, the idea is that it should take over anything that it can. I always say if AI can do your job, AI should do your job, leave the human work to the humans. But if it can do it, it should. But there is a certain point where you're over communicating. So again, public facing, I'm a coach. You ask the chatbot, what is it that you can do? What value do I bring? What testimonials do you have? I got all that information. At a certain point, stop talking and let them book a demo. Once you can close this deal, close the deal. Stop talking, close the deal. You don't want them to have all the information that they need, never talk to a sales rep, and then leave. Maybe you do. Maybe I don't have sales reps and I do want it to do that, and that's absolutely fine. You just need to find what is the right balance to bring in a human. If somebody comes in and says, hey, I bought your product and it broke and I'm going to sue you. Okay, let's talk to a human. What's the problem? Let's help you fix this. If they come in and just ask, hey, what is the return policy? What warranties do I have on this? Yeah, the chatbot can answer that just fine. Knowing when to escalate to a human. Training it, it's really good if you obviously you want to give it training just like you would with a new employee. What is your role? What is your goal? What is the expected outcome? Here's a process I want you to follow. But if I'm a coach, I want to give it samples and examples of my content. I want to give it my tone, the way I write and talk. I want it to mimic the way I produce content, the way I would respond back to it. I don't want it to mimic just what's on the internet. I want it to mimic specifically how I speak, specifically my tips. I could be a contrarian. Everybody's telling you to go left. No, I'm telling you to go right, and here's why. So you want it to give it a lot of the information that you've created, your own IP there, so it can mimic what you're saying and follow your brand and your tone and your message. You also want to tell it to be chatty or not. And nobody wants to ask an AI a question and get a 3-page answer. That's too much. I'm not going to read it. Give me the TLDR. Be brief. If I'm teaching you something new, maybe I do want it to be chatty and be thorough from the first shot. So if you ask me a question, I do give you a page answer. It all depends on what you're looking for. It's also good to give it a personality. Hey, be witty, be friendly, be technical. Don't be technical. Speak at a 5th grade level. It all depends on your audience. So it's very important to keep that in mind. Be clear with your instructions. This is one of the biggest pitfalls I see when people are creating instructions for AI chatbots. Yes, it's all English. There's no code. It's very simple. But because we allow you to create chatbots and agents with just English, it's important to be clear. An example I use is if I told you I went to a restaurant last night and I had a dish and it was delicious. What does it refer to? The dish. It was hot. That could be the dish. That could be the restaurant. It was so hot it burned my mouth. Okay, now I know you're talking about the dish specifically. It was so hot I had to take off my jacket. Okay, now you're talking about the restaurant. So you could see in our language, we use pronouns and then the nouns in the beginning of the sentence, but what comes after that also could clarify. So when I said it was hot in there, what came after it helped me understand what it refers to. So being vague with our language is what creates hallucinations and results from AI that are suboptimal, if that makes sense. And then we test until it covers 80% of all our use cases. Okay, that's our measuring stick is. If we want 90%, we can continue testing until we get there. And then we put it to our internal staff, our friends, our family, and we say, okay, give it a test. Let me know what you found. Try to break it. At a certain point, we can go back and see the history of everybody's communication, and we fine tune. We keep on fine tuning until we get there. But I think the best way is to actually just get in there and start testing, and we'll show that during the workshop.
One thing to remind everybody, this is like an employee. Like you would bring an employee into your company and you would say, here's the employee handbook. Read, this is what we're doing. And then the employee is going to go and do something, and then you correct it. And then it goes and does something again, and then you adjust it. And it's going to take a few months for the employee, hopefully if they're good, to actually catch up and then be amazing. It doesn't take that long with AI, but it's very similar. It's not just like a dummy dumb ChatGPT, come here and prompt me. It can do things for you. But as Danny was saying, you test it all the time and be like, this is the results, no, correct a little bit. This is the results, correct a little bit, until you have something that you love, 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 and takes over and frees up your time.
At that point, you set it and forget it. It's good until you have something new. I have new content. I have a new product. I have a new service. Then you update it. Otherwise, you're good. You set it and forget it, and it's out there. Let's get started. So this is a workshop. So we want everybody on their laptop to bring it up. And if you're having a problem, ask in the chat, but we'll help you get through it. So does everybody, just a quick poll, does everybody have some documents to upload, like your terms and services, your FAQs, help documents? If you don't, that's okay, but the quality of the chatbot will be much higher if you actually have those with you. Okay, excellent, excellent. Looks like some do. And again, if you don't, we'll show you how to update it later. And if there's a missing document, don't worry, we'll show you how to do that. All right.
Let's start
So
from
let
the
me share
beginning.
my screen.
Yeah, share your screen and show them how to register. If you guys, I think everybody here is registered, but if you're not, just follow exactly what Dana is doing. So go to Nom.ai. I put that link in the chat. Oh, I wanted to say Nom.ai.com. Go to Nom.ai.
Yeah, just Nom.ai,
Nom.ai.
right? And it is Nom, not Noem. And you can see with our logo, we have this analogy: let the little gnomes go work for you while you're in bed, while you're asleep. Let it go work for you, and that's the name, the play on words there. So it's Nom.ai. You just go in and hit login, and then if you're not logged in, it'll ask you to log in. I'll show you what that looks like. So you can log in using your Google account that you have, or register with an email and password. I'm just going to go ahead and use the account that I have. And let me know when everybody's at this particular screen.
And while you are doing that, the question is, if I'm training one agent to learn my branding and messaging, would all the other agents then also be trained? Is there a way to train the whole system on our fundamental business pieces, or is it agent per agent? So there's a difference between an agent and a chatbot. Today, we're building a chatbot. The next one, we're going to ask you, and if you want to get into the agents and actually create your own or work with ours, we'll do one specific one for agents. Chatbot is different. It doesn't have the functionality.
And the economy. So let me, while people are logging in and getting to the screen, so a chatbot is a pre-trained AI that is highly specialized to your needs, but it's still ask it a question and it'll respond back. Ask it a question, it'll respond back. It's still heavily leaning towards just producing text for you. When you get into agents, you get additional tooling, and I'll show some of that today, where it can create files, it can call an API, it can pull information, it can post information, it can create a video for you, it can create images. It has a lot more tooling to it, and it also has autonomy. You could say, for example, if you hire Bob, the blog writer here, you could tell Bob, once you've trained it on the types of blog posts that you want, it knows technically how to make the most optimal blog post. Create a blog post for me about these subjects, search online of what's trending, create a blog post and send it to me every Monday morning. That has autonomy. It'll go and do that for you every Monday morning in your inbox. You're going to have an email with Bob's fresh blog post. And that's the autonomy we're talking about with an agent. When you do that, you create a company profile, and we'll go through that today as well. And you can upload documents to your company that all the agents have access to. Or you could say, no, I just want this one agent to have this information. I don't want the other agents to have that information. And then once you have an agent list of all the hired agents that you have, they can actually communicate with each other. So you could have Bob talk to Frank and Frank talk to Brenda, and they could actually communicate with each other. But that's a little bit more advanced. We'll do additional workshops talking specifically about, hey, I have multiple agents. They're all running. How do I manage them? How do I optimize them? But we'll have that in a future workshop.
So
Today, we're going
everybody's
to
on
show
that
you
page.
the intro.
Yes.
Basically say chatbots, when they grow up, become agents. So if everybody's here, the screen that we're looking at here is when you click hire an agent. So if you ever want to get back to the screen, you just click on hire an agent, and I'll show you that in just a moment. And this pops up and it says, okay, what are we trying to create today? Now, Nom.ai has many different offerings, from copywriting. I want to create a blog post. I want to create some research. I want to create a newsletter. I want to create emails. I want to create advertising. I want to create videos, presentations. Each one has their own specialized agents in there. Today, we're just going to click on chatbots. Now, in our chatbot, we want to create our own custom chatbot. So let's go ahead and select that. Now, if you've been in Nom.ai before, you've probably set up your company. But if you haven't, it's immediately going to ask you, okay, tell me a little bit about your company. So all the agents and all the chatbots that you create, I know what your company is about. If you skip the training at this side, your agent basically will just have a sample company that I'm sample.com, and I really don't know much about your company. But let's go really quickly through this. And let's say I want to create a company. Buildfire is my old company. Let me go ahead and select Buildfire. So you type in your website here. And depending on how long your website has been online, how much information is out there, if you hit next, it may pull information for you. Hopefully it does for everybody that's on this call. If it has mistakenly pulled the wrong name or the wrong information, this is where you tweak it. So you give it the company name here. I'll give everybody a few moments to make a modification. Next, it says, okay, what are your products and services? What is it that you do, right? In the case of Buildfire, that company has been around for quite some time, so it has a lot of information here. I can tweak it, I can adjust it, but I'll let everybody, you could be as brief or as expansive as you'd like. You could always update it later. But if I'm an e-commerce business that specializes in athletic footwear for children, put that in. If you are a coaching agency and you specialize in coaching executives, put that in. So whatever you have, hopefully it's pulled some information so you're not starting from scratch. If everybody's ready, I'll move on to the next. It asks you what industry you're in. Select the closest industry that pertains to your business. What's the size of your company? Now, most of the time, this isn't going to matter to your training, but sometimes it does matter whenever it's representing your company and you want them to know how many employees, what's the size of the company, because imagine somebody asks your chatbot, what's the size of the company? It should know. Then you say, okay, in general, what is the tone? You could always override this per chatbot, per agent, but if you don't tell me, what should I assume the tone that you want to speak in? If I'm a development agency and I'm trying to get my engineers hired by these customers, I want it to be very technical. If I am a coaching agency, maybe I want it to be more friendly and witty or informative. But just select one that works best for you. And it says, okay, who's your target audience? When I write content for you, when I respond back, who should I assume our ICP is? Who's our target audience? Just going through and saying, okay, we're optimizing for executives for small and medium-sized companies. We're optimizing for moms with kids who are athletic. We're optimizing for whatever your ICP is, who your target audience is. It's best if you tell it here. And again, you could be as detailed as you'd like or as brief as you'd like. You could always adjust this later. What makes your company different? You could put something brief in here, but specifically when we're going through our chatbots, we really want to put some meat on the bone there. Why are you different? Especially today online, there's so many alternatives to every business that's out there. Why are you different? What are our strengths and what are the weaknesses that I want to avoid? If you're looking specifically for accelerating your business from $10 million company to a $50 million company, that's our niche. That's what we focus on. If I coach you from 0 to 1, you're just an idea right now, and I'm starting my new startup, and I need somebody. Yeah, if that's my specialty, we could say that's what we specialize in. This is what we're really good at, and this is what makes us different from our competitors. It could be, hey, we are a small shop, and we have a lot of one-on-one with our customers because we're a smaller agency, and we're able to do that. And we focus. You get to talk to the CEO of the company. If you're a large corporation, you could say, okay, we've been in business for 20 years. Here's our specialty, and this is why we're the best. And here's some links on why we're better than the others. Okay, almost done. Just says, hey, do you have a slogan that you use? Is there a tagline, a slogan that you use for your company that you like to end your content with, or anything like that? So you can go ahead and add that in. And then we launch our first chatbot. So I'm going to wait here until everybody confirms that they're good to go.
Everybody's with you. I love it.
Excellent. Again, you don't have to get it perfect right now. You could always go back and tweak it a little bit. But this is where we're actually building our first chatbot. Now, this is just a sample window that you'll see here. You have whatever the window header is. Generally, that'll be customer support for this company. It could be just the name of your company. This is the avatar that you want to show up in this little bubble. You can upload something if you have one ready, but if we all click on the three green stars here, this is where we'll actually just generate something together. So create a close-up profile picture of a customer service rep that is friendly, right? So I'm just going to use the freestyle style here. You could select from other styles if you like. This is where Nom.ai helps you with prompt engineering. I don't know how to tell it to come out with this like Vogue type picture. But for now, let's just click on freestyle and hit submit. And basically what ends up happening here is that it's going to go try to generate one for you. But in the future, this could be your company logo. It could be a picture of you. It could be an AI picture of you, or just something generated, whatever you like. And so it's going to go and generate that image for me. In this case, it generated this image for a customer support rep. Okay, looks pretty good for now. Now, for the chat window, I'm just going to let's all call it just the name of our company. Again, this is all changeable later. The display name is, what do I want our chatbot to have a name? If it's a virtual you, I may call it virtual Danny. If it's customer support, I may just not give it a name and call it customer support. So it doesn't have a name. If I want my users to know it's AI, I can call it AI support. If it's a SDR, I could say I'm an account specialist. Whatever you want to call it. Basically, when you're chatting with this AI chatbot, what do you want its name to be at least displayed? You can change the name itself, and then the display name to, it could always say support, but my name is Bob. If you ask it, what's your name? Oh, my name is Bob, and you can give it a name if you like. So in this case, I'm just going to call it support now, but you can, again, these are all changeable later. Now, it defaults to high display name. Display name is for a logged in user. At this case, let's assume they're not logged in and this is just a public website. Nobody's logged in just yet. I can change this to hi there. How can I help you today? Hi there. Are you interested in coaching services? Tell me a little bit about your business. Whatever that first prompt, that first interaction, what do you want it to be? And again, don't worry if you get it wrong here. We can always fix it. This also accepts snippets of HTML and Markdown. So if you had a learn more or book some time with a sales rep today, just immediately, you can give it a little HTML there to book with an agent, to click on a link and just go to your Calendly link or something like that. But let's just keep it simple for now. Hi there, how can I help you today? If this is on your website, you could say, just like on Nom.ai, you all saw this pop up after 5 seconds. Once you were on the website, you could tell it, hey, you could be a fab button here, and then 5 seconds automatically pop up for the people on my website. That's up to you. Today, this won't make a huge difference, but if it's 0, it'll just be disabled, but you can put 3 seconds, 4 seconds, and then immediately pop up. Help links. So there's a little link on the top of the window that says, hey, do you need additional help? Learn about our products and services. I'd like to talk to a human. Whatever that additional link, it's optional. You don't have to put it in here. But if you put in, okay, talk to a human, book an appointment, learn about our pricing, whatever you'd like, whatever text you put in here, and then you can just put whatever text that you want in here. Again, we can go in here and play around with it and change it. But this is an additional quick link to additional help documentation, to additional video links to other parts of your website, to book an appointment, to talk to a human, whatever you'd like that to be. And then let's just jump down to sample commands. We're not actually going to do this right now, but we're going to come back to it. But with auto engage and sample commands is you can put in, ask me about our services, ask me about our pricing, these are simple sample commands that we can show to the user and say, when you come in and you don't know, this is a chatbot. I don't know, most chatbots are horrible. They don't answer anything. No, we could actually answer a lot. Let's put in some sample prompts that the user can engage with this chatbot so that we can show them that you can ask me about your account. You can ask me about my pricing. I'll answer. You can ask me about these things, but they're not mandatory. They're just samples for the users to actually take a look at. So if everybody's ready, let's go ahead and
these are like conversation starters. These sample
conversation starters. Exactly.
Jennifer is asking, where do we put the link? So the link will be, you're actually going to have to write an HTML.
You could say an anchor for those of you who are comfortable. It's http.com, whatever that link is. And then we say click here and then close that link. We're going to be adding a lot more helpers here to make this is very simple HTML, but we're going to add in additional helpers so that you don't have to learn this type of HTML for you. But it's really pretty simple. You just say, this is an anchor. I want it to say click here. And then when they click on it, I want it to go to this URL.
Are we all done with generating our image and everything? All on the same page?
Excellent.
Yes. I love it.
Perfect. Okay, so let's go ahead and hit save. Then it's going to prompt us to say, okay, we set up the UI I still haven't trained it on anything just yet. Let's go ahead and hit okay. It's going to take us to that next section. That next section is where we're actually going to give it instructions and functions. But really right now, what we want to focus on are instructions. You can cancel out of this window and just write everything from scratch, but generally it's best to start from some boilerplate template. In my scenario that I'm showing you here, it's customer service, but if you want to select an SDR or a virtual coach, you can go ahead and select that. But in my example here, I'm just going to do customer service. And so it fills out these instructions here for me. This is all changed. I can delete it all and start from scratch if I'd like. I can go in and select a different template and have it use that template. But let me walk you through the autonomy, the structure of instructions in general. So we say, okay, these are instructions for a customer service rep. You've last been updated. So if the date matters, to say, okay, my last update was on this date. Sometimes this matters, sometimes it doesn't, because let's say you're an aggressive software platform and you are updating daily. It's good to say, okay, I was last updated on this date. So if you ask me anything past this date, I don't know. If you're asking me about the financial markets, if you're asking me about mortgage rates, if you're asking me, it's good to say, hey, my last update was on this date, just so you know, unless it has the ability to pull live information, and we can show you how to do that as well. Your name, if you want to give it a name, to say, hey, if I ask, hey, what's your name? Oh, my name is Bob. My name is whatever. And you could even give it a backstory if you want it to humanize it a little bit more. But your position, this is what you do. You're a customer service rep, and your company, you work for my company. You work for Nom.ai. You work for Buildfire. You work for Midane Corp. You work for Nike. So be very clear. This is who you work for. Now, you'll notice me say you and yours a lot in instructions, because there's technically 3 entities involved in this instruction. There's me, the person typing this in. There is the AI itself. And then there's the user it's going to interact with. So in the instructions, I'll always say, you are a customer service rep. Your name is Bob. If I just put name Bob, is this a customer? Is that you? Who's Bob? You just said name Bob. If I say your name is Bob, it's very clear. Your role is this. I'm being very specific for it. So I say your role is this. This is what I want you to do. I want you to be customer support bot. Be clear that you're an AI, not a human, because sometimes you can make it act like it's a human and insist that it's a human when it's not. You could say, always talk about my company, never talk poorly about it. Never talk poorly about my competitors. If you're asked about my competitors, then gently say, hey, we think we're better, and just focus on your strengths and not necessarily their weaknesses, because generally you don't want it to get into legal problems if you're talking smack about your competitors. Here's a little bit about my company.
Sure.
Sure.
So on the top, scroll to the top. When you have a name, and the date. If it's a variable like today, that stays in the bracket, but the name, we remove the bracket, or do we keep the brackets?
So we have the ability to swap it out based on the name you put on the first screen that we were on. It could swap out. But in this case, since I put customer support, you could change it to Bob or change it to an actual name because
Right.
you can make them different. If you want to have it be pulled, it will pull it for you. If you wanted to just, I want the display name that what shows up to be customer support. But if they wanted an Easter egg of saying, hey, Bob, and say, oh, I was actually born under a rainbow someplace and give it some Easter egg cutesy thing, you could do that here. So
So
anything that's a variable.
in the instructions here, when they update the instructions, they will write your company and it'll be Nom.ai without the brackets.
Correct. But you could also say Noem.ai because I put Noem.ai and say doing business as whatever. So if they know my old name, my new name, my legal name, so you could enhance it here. We're just trying to make it a little bit easier for you, but feel free to change it and hard code it here because it's not something that changes every day anyway. So you can go ahead and change it.
So the question, do you keep the brackets or not? And the answer is, if it's a static name, like a company name, you remove the brackets. If it's today, like a variable, you keep the brackets because that's a variable.
Correct. So basically what we do is we look for certain keywords in brackets and swap that out for you. So if you want it to be swapped out, then keep it in brackets using the exact same name and casing. If you want to say, let me just type it in, you could just type it in. Again, your company name, it could pull that in, doesn't change that a whole lot. You can hard code it in, that's fine too. But this is where the reason why we allow you to change it here is because sometimes, yes, the product is called Nom.ai, but our business name is called something else. Many of you probably own multiple businesses. You could say, okay, let's actually, our legal name is this. Make sense?
Yes. Awesome. They got it. Cool.
All right. So again, being very specific with your role. This is your role. This is what I want you to do. This is how I want you to behave. This is more information about my company. Here's the background where we've been in business for 20 years. We specialize in XYZ. It has already that content that you put based on the company profile that you've created. However, this is where you could really give it a lot more information if you choose so, or just don't put anything and it'll try to figure it out for you. Communication guidelines. If you're a coach, if you're dealing with a particular process heavy, you could say, this is the process I want you to follow. These are the guidelines I want you to follow. These are the steps I want you to follow, but being very specific. I want you to greet the customer, be friendly, understand their query. Try to get, if this is a web platform, ask it, hey, what browser were you using? Are you using? How many customers do you have? Because I'm trying to gather additional information for our sales team. You give it some additional information. Again, everybody probably selected something different. Some of you are customer support reps, some of you are in coaching, some of you are in SD. But generally, you want the role, your goal, your expected outcomes, the process that you want to follow, the tone I want it to use, things that I want to avoid. Okay, never call our employees employees. They're all contractors. By law, they're technically contractors. You are not allowed to call them employees. Why? Because we're in a state where if I call them employees, we get taxed differently and it gets us into an issue. So please never refer to our staff as employees. Always refer to them as contractors, for example, or specialists. Just avoid the word employee. Here's some additional notes, but you generally think of it as creating an employee handbook, just like you would with a new hire. This is your role, your goal, your expected outcomes, the process, the guideline I want you to follow. Here are the things I want you to avoid. These are the things I want you to emphasize. For example, upsells. Am I talking to it in a way that says, hey, if it seems like you're having a good interaction with this customer, promote. Hey, maybe you want to talk to a customer support rep now. Maybe you want to buy the higher tier. Maybe suggest tiers. Maybe you could ask questions, say, hey, you should be on the premium plan. You should be. Why? Because of this particular need that you have. Does that make sense?
Yeah, totally. And we are 15 minutes till the end. So in general, guys, we created templates for you that you can choose, implement, so you don't have to start from scratch. And then you're going in and you're changing it and you're making it your own. So in the making it your own, you have the general instructions, and now we're going to move into the file creation or the
Correct.
knowledge base.
So before we move on to file creations, we had something called functions here. I'm going to just spend 30 seconds here. Because this is a chatbot, I'm not trying to create videos for anybody. I'm not trying to create presentations and power and HTML files for people. I'm just trying to regurgitate text. In that scenario, you're really not going to use any of these functions. When you're creating more specialized agents, you will. The one thing that you may do is give it contact information for your emails. Now, you could tell it here, if you want to contact support, it's support at Nom.ai. You can. But sometimes when they're communicating with sales, when they're communicating with a product service, I don't want to expose that email. I don't want the chatbot to know exactly what that email is because it's going to come to me and I'm the business owner and I don't want to be bombarded by every question. But if you tell me, hey, I want to buy your company, I want that email to come to me. So I can put my email here and say, whenever this scenario happens, contact a company rep, contact customer support, contact the product manager. And the instructions never see that email. It calls a backend API that says, contact customer support. I don't know what that email is, but go contact them. Our backend system then takes over and says, okay, the AI doesn't know what that email is. So it obfuscates it and it makes sure that it's hidden so it's never exposed. But if you don't care and you want to put it here, you can. All right. So if we're all ready, we're going to go ahead and hit save. And while it's saving here, it says, okay, generally the next step is not mandatory, but it's really beneficial if you actually go through it. It's for the knowledge files. So let's go through the knowledge files. So this is where we're actually going to upload files for our agents. Now think of this to say, hey, what, can't I just put everything in my uh, 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 can I put everything in the instructions itself? Technically, you can. Technically, you can. But imagine if I put all my compliance documents, my terms and services, my privacy policy, my return policy, the warranties, our products and services. And after a while, it's too much information. It may get confused about it. And sometimes you'll have contradicting information. So yes, this feature is available, but only if you're on enterprise. If you're on premium, it's not available here. And it says, okay, but you said it was available. Yeah, for this plan, not for this plan. So what we end up doing is think of your knowledge files as a library that's accessible to your agent to say, here's my terms and services document. If you're asked about our terms and services, access it. If you're not asked, don't worry about it. It's available to you when you need it. If you're asked about pricing for, okay, our SKUs, we have 20 SKUs. I don't have thousands of SKUs. It's 20 SKUs. Our pricing is pretty stable. I can upload a file. Here's our pricing, a description of the products that we sell. They're limited. They're not changing all the time. We don't change. We don't have surge pricing. The prices doesn't change a whole lot. So you could put it in here and say, if you're asked about our pricing and I want you to answer, here's the file you go to. If they're asked about GDPR compliance and FedRAP and CCPA and all this technical jargon that some unfortunate customers that are really picky about it, they want to know. You could either in the instructions say guide them to this URL that says everything that you need, or it could help you explain this is the document, this we are GDPR compliant, we operate in Europe just fine, and here's the information that you need. So it'll just respond back to it. So think of this as the library of information, not how to behave, not its roles, not its goals. This is just a library of information that will augment what it does. Now, when you upload these files, it needs to be in text format or PDF or MD. You can see the file formats that are here. If you have a PDF, if you scan your documents and put it in a PDF, that doesn't count. That's an image inside of a PDF. It's not going to OCR that PDF for you. So just make sure it's actually consumable in text so that the AI can actually learn from it. And so you upload all your documents here. If you have in a Word document, if you have a text PDF, you can upload them all here and it'll learn from it. The last thing I'll say here, just for the sake of time, is that you can also in your instructions refer to these documents to say when to use this document. If you don't, it'll guess. And this is why naming the file is extremely important. If the file says one.doc, I'd have to open it up to know what's inside of it. If the name of the file is called terms and services, most likely it's terms and services. So the amount of time it takes for the AI to figure it out or the possibility that it'll make a mistake is diminished when you actually name your files correctly. So that's very important. And then you could also refer to it when to use the files. If you don't refer to it in the instructions when to use the files, it'll try to figure it out based on its scenario. But if there's a particular scenario it's just not pulling up from this file, it's because it doesn't know. So you could say when you're asked specifically for this product that we actually call something else, but it's a common name. Our users who don't know our products call it something else. Refer to this document. Any questions?
I think we are good. So all of you should have uploaded your files right now, calling them in the instructions. You can do that after we're done, after you test it. So the idea is this. You're going to finish creating your chatbot right now. You're going to give it all the knowledge and all the information, and then you're going to launch it, and then you're going to test it, and you're going to ask it questions. Be like, oh, it's not reading the file when I'm saying this. Then you go back to the instructions and you say, remember to read the file. So you can't get it right on the first time. So don't worry about getting it perfect. We want to get it done and then test it until we like everything that it says. So now we're uploading the file. I know a few of you had the FAQs and your terms.
Time you'll realize there's a missing document that you'd like it to have. You just come back in here and update it. If there's what my FAQs have been updated, you could either add a secondary complementary one or delete the old one and then add the new one. And whenever you're ready, just go ahead and hit that run button. And you can see the name we put up here was Nom.ai, so you should see the name of your company. That help link is available. I called it support here, so that's a display name. Her image showed up, and hi there, how can I help you? So immediately what we set up, we see here. If I click on that help, it says that link that I have here. It just immediately popped up. We can click on it. It doesn't have to be a link. It can be just information. It could be where to guide them to. It could be a phone number to call. It doesn't have to say help on the top. You can make it say anything you want. Just going back, I promised everybody I'd show them an example. So on the sample commands here, if I say, ask me about my policies, probably not one you're going to put there, but we can add that in there. Ask me about what we can do for you. Or let's rephrase it. What can you do for me? Because from the perspective of the user side, what can you do for me? And then let's do, what are your policies? Right? So now when I hit run, just to give you a visual of what that looks like. Now, every time I hit run, it goes and trains a new instance of that agent for me. So right here, if I just click on it, what can you do for me? I click on it. What it basically did is it just took that text and then put it into the prompt and send it for that user. But users, when they come in, they don't know what they don't know. So you can see here now it's answering about BuildFire and it's answering some questions here because I said my company name was BuildFire. It knew it was BuildFire. Remember, I never changed it in the instructions. It swapped out because initially I said my name was BuildFire. It knew that the name was BuildFire. So let's actually say, okay, we spend some time here, we fine tune it, we make it great, but how do I get it on my website to pop up here?
Okay, hold on a second. Can they change the colors of the chatbot? I think we said something about that.
We're also going to be releasing a bunch of customization for you so that you can change the color here, change the font size, change the button so that you can make those additional customizations without having to go through styling on my website.
Awesome. Okay, so how do we put it on your
Okay.
website? Yay.
Let's go ahead and hit deploy. Any one of these first few you can hit deploy, it'll take you there. It's going to give you an API key and domains that are valid for this particular chatbot. Because I put my website in, it'll show up here. But the idea is this API key, you can technically have a backend system call your chatbot using this API key, but we're going to do all this for you. You don't have to worry about it. So approved domains. Let's say I'm a coach and I'm giving you a little taste of what I can provide to you through this AI chatbot on my public website. I don't want somebody to go steal it and put it on their website and act like they have this value too, like my competitors just take it and steal it from me. So your approved domains are saying this is only where this chatbot is allowed to operate. If you come in from any other domain, this other website, I don't want you to operate. So if you come in from sample.com, from competitor.com, you're not allowed to operate. Just turn off, refuse that connection. This is why it's very important. You could technically remove it and say it works everywhere. If for some reason you want your chatbot to work everywhere, you can. But we heavily recommend limit, and you can put as many domains as you want. I have 3-4 websites that all do the same thing. That's okay. You just add them here, just hit enter, add the next one, hit enter, add the next one, and it'll give you those approved domains. Now, I'm going to go to the complicated side first, and then we'll do the easy side. This snippet of code here, I know nobody likes to look at code, but this is the snippet of code here. Most of it you actually don't need. Most of it you actually don't need, but I'm going to go through it all to just explain in just non-technical language, what does this code do? So this just says, hey, go to Nom.ai and give me that chatbot. I don't want any chatbot. I want the user that's going to come in. If they're a logged in user, I can tell it, use the logged in user. I have their name, I have their little picture, their profile picture, I have more information about it. I actually know what tier they're at, and I know if they're a paid customer or not. If you give it more information and send it to the chatbot, it then has that information. It says, oh, your name is Daniel Hindi and you're a paid customer. You're on tier 2. So it can, but if this is on the public website, you can just say, hey, by default, just the display name, show it as user. So you can just copy and paste it in. And I don't have a profile picture for it. Or you could always say, I want to give it their own profile picture because I don't know who they are. I want to give it something different. You can. All the optional options here, disable the CSS or disable all styling. I want to take over styling. I don't like that fab button on the bottom right corner. Disable it and I'll trigger you whenever I want to trigger you. Most of these things you're not going to do. I'm just explaining it. I want it to be centered on the screen or not. I want them to be allowed to upload a file. So if you say, hey, this is a quote I got. Can you help me understand it and can you beat it? And can they upload a file? You can if you want, if you allow it to. So most of these you're really not going to touch. And then at the end, this is really what happens here. It says just go create that chatbot and here's that API key that I have. So instead of me copying and pasting, it's right here in here for me. Now, additional things that we can do is when a message is sent, go tell Google Analytics because I'm tracking it. If I've given you a custom event to say, if they ask to reset their password, go navigate to the reset password page. This is more advanced stuff we can talk about later, but really this is the magic right here. Is go create a new chatbot. Here's my API key. Here's the user that I have. He's not logged in. Here's the options that I want. That's it. You copy this code and you paste it into your website. Now, if you wanted to automatically use Google Tag Manager to let people to let Google Tag Manager and Google Analytics know that an event has occurred, that a communication has occurred, you can go ahead and check that. If you have WordPress, you could download this plugin, the little zip file, it's really tiny. You upload it to your website, and all you're going to have to do is just give it this API key. Make sure you still whitelist the website that you want it to work on. If you're on Wix, all you have to do is follow these steps, log into your admin portal, go to settings, go to custom code, find the bottom code, and then just copy. You could click here to copy the code or go to the same code that we showed here, copy this and paste it in. We give you a little link down here that says just copy the code and just paste it in. If I have a homegrown website, this is something I have a developer and he developed it for me on my own servers, doing whatever I'm doing. They just copy and paste that little piece of code in there. And then if you have a developer doing that, they'll understand how to tweak it if you want. Paste it in and you're done. Now, some advanced features, unless there's additional questions. Squarespace is still HTML, CSS. You just need to inject. Just look up on Squarespace how to inject custom code, and you just copy and paste it. Now, we suggest that you put it at the bottom of your website. It'll work if you put it on top. We just want to make sure that we don't interrupt anything on your website. We say just put it the last thing on your website for it to pop up. That's all. But technically, anywhere you put it, it'll work.
So you have three options. Take the code and put it, it will work on any website. Even if you had WordPress and you didn't have the plugin, you can go into the footer, put it in the footer, and it will work. If you have Wix, you just take the code from there, inject it into Wix. You have the instructions. If you have WordPress and you want to use our plugin, download the plugin. All you need is the API key, and it's up and running.
And again, any other web platform, at the end of the day, if it's online, it's HTML, CSS, and JavaScript. It's how you built the site to produce HTML, JavaScript, and CSS can vary. It's just a little piece of code that you could just inject in there and get it to work. Now, if you really are unsure and you don't know what to do, make sure you talk to the technical person who's in charge of that to help you with it. But it's very simple. You'll be up and running in 2 minutes. Once it's up and running, then you could turn it on and off really quick by not necessarily calling your developer every single time or calling your marketing agency who turned it on for you or whatever it is. Just turn off the approved domains. Just instead of buildfire.com, just buildfire.xxx. So it's not going to work anymore. And then I can just hit here, run, test. Whenever I'm ready to go, I change that back to the right domain, and it'll start working without having to bother my marketing agency, my web guy, or my nephew who comes in and helps me out with my website. Anything that may be, you could easily turn it off and on.
So let's do this. Everybody that's here, love to tell you what the bonuses and the goodies that we're giving to you. And then we're going to go into troubleshooting and share the screen. This is what we did today. We talked about why virtual AI assistant matter. We talked about planning your chatbot. What is it supposed to do? The three things: tech support, customer support, or education. The content essentials, the FAQs, the knowledge base, everything that you need to get into there so it actually knows who you are. We just created our chatbots, and here we are at the bonus. First thing, I'm sure there's going to be questions coming up as you try to implement it. Scan this QR code right now. We have a dedicated WhatsApp group for you where you can share your wins, you can share your chatbots, you can ask any questions that you want, you can dive deeper into that, we can geek out over everything. Scan this right now with your phone, go to WhatsApp and say hi that you're in the group, and we'll welcome you. The second one is everyone who's here, when you signed up, you got 1,000 tokens. Those 1,000 tokens are going to last you for a while with your chatbot. I think they're going to give them, 500 back and forth messages, stuff like that. Super inexpensive. Everyone here is going to get double the point, even more. We're going to up it up to 5,000 tokens, which will give you about 2,500 back and forth messages on your chatbot. It will allow you to test your agents and play with them. All we need from you is the email that you signed up to Nom with. If you sign with a different email to these workshops, we have no access to it. So just make sure that we have your email, and we're gonna bump your tokens so you can play with it and share it and test it and actually make it work for you. And lastly, I know there's a bunch of stuff that people want to learn. Yeah, you can put your email in the chat. Thank you. Our next one is how to automate the entire blogging process so that every Monday you have a blog and you never miss a day, or you never have to write it, or you're never consistent. So if you guys are interested in that, let us know.
It's a good intro to agents.
Yeah.
It'll get you past the fear of how do I create this without any code. We'll show you how to do that. Just like this was super simple. We'll show you how to do agents as well. So that would be your first agent. It's very valuable.
Awesome. I love that you're interested in that. We have other agents that we will dive deeper into. And Melissa, all you have to do is make sure that you're getting our emails. We're going to announce everything in our emails. So white label our emails, make sure that you get them. And we're going to announce everything through that. Podcast show notes, we're getting there. Super awesome. So we have your email. You're in our WhatsApp group, so you're not alone, and we can support you. We're going to follow up with an agent actually after that. But now let's move into actual troubleshooting. So if anyone has an issue and their little mini-me is not working on their website.
Let me share my screen and show you.
And thank you very much for coming here today. Share your links to your websites. I'd love to test them. You can see it there. So click on the Jennifer Jen Young website. It's in the chat.
Oh, it's in the chat. Okay.
Yeah. Thank you for being here, Melissa. Super excited.
Is this
that is the website? Where is it supposed to be, Jennifer?
It's maybe because she hasn't published it yet. That's okay. That's okay. I'll show you what to do. So basically, if this button doesn't show up, the first thing is check that you have a whitelisted domain, check that you copied and pasted the full snippet in there. Second of all, if it shows up odd, I believe the comment was that it's lower and kind of like beneath the fold where you can't see it. The way you take a look at that is that, I don't know if, can you see the pop-up? If you right click on it and inspect, you'll start seeing here the styles that are affecting it. I know this is getting a little bit technical, so it depends on how comfortable you are with your website, but you'll see what's affecting that particular piece. So depending on the theme, for example, if you're using WordPress, you may have a theme that says all buttons change it to be pink and rectangular. So what ends up happening is that it'll affect all buttons, even the chatbot button. So you either override your override or change the style that you have to say, okay, only affect the things under these sections and don't affect the chatbot itself. Does that make sense without actually taking a look at, unless it's been updated? Let me double check. No, it's okay because you could put it in staging mode before you go and publish it live. But take a look at your styling. You want to take a look at the styling and see what's being affected by the CSS. Most likely the theme you have, actually, Yifat and I faced this on one of her websites as well. There was a style that just took over all buttons and all divs and it changed the way it looked. So you just need to fine tune that a slight bit, but it's usually pretty easy.
Let me share my screen. You guys tell me if you can see it. This is Sarah, super excited. So Sarah needs to, when I started this, it was like, is your book available? And it was like, no, not yet. So that's super cool. And then Andy has it working on his website. I'd like to know about coaching.
Yeah, so you could tell a few things in here that you can tell. The scroll bars. So you want to remove the scroll bars. I'll follow up with some common CSS changes to make it easier for you. So I'll send it to you. But you can see the send button, hover text, scroll bars, like things like that from the theme. But great job.
I love it. And he has a picture and he has everything in there. Love it.
Great website.
Yeah, and then Sarah, same thing. You can love your picture. Super awesome. So first of all, congratulations. You have a chatbot, you have a mini-me on your website. The world didn't end and we did it in an hour and 10 minutes. So amazing. Now, what we need to do is just add the knowledge base. So it says that it actually knows what we're talking about and decide what actions we want it to take. Upsell, downsell, information, send to a human, all that jazz. And once that's done, please share that in a WhatsApp group and we can help you test it and follow up with you and make sure that everything is exactly the way that you want it so that it serves you and your business and we all succeed together. The last thing, Andy said it was way less painful than I feared. That's awesome.
That's good to hear.
Not sure if I saw your comments. You need to scroll all the way to the bottom to see this. So let's see, Jen. I'm going to share my screen and let's see if we can see you. So I'm scrolling.
See it.
Oh, it's right
Yeah,
there. Hello, Jen.
so scroll up and down. So see how the layers, so this is a site that's supposed to be like a parallax design.
Yeah.
This is actually easily fixed by a Z index, popping it all the way on top. So I'm gonna keep that note. So I'll follow up and show you how to do that
But you
as
got your
as well.
chatbot.
Yeah, so basically in this scenario, I'm sure other people are seeing the same thing. So whenever you have layers going on top of each other, there's something called a Z index. Think of like just layers of paper on top of each other. So in this design, they say, okay, make this pink section on top of everything. So what ends up happening is that on top of everything, it's also on top of the chatbot. That's why it was sometimes cut off and sometimes not, depending if there was a layer on top of it or not. Layer 0, 1, 2, 3, and it's probably like layer 99999 on top. So it's just going on top of everything. So this is a very easy fix. I'll make sure I'll follow up and show you how to fix that.
So this is super awesome. And then this is Melissa's Wix website. And it's not show. Oh, there it is. Is it? No, it's not. Never mind. So she put it, Melissa, where did you put it? You put the code in Wix website, but you're not seeing it. So I'm gonna let Danny share his screen so he can do that stuff. And we got your emails, and I'm just gonna make sure that everybody's in our little gnome. I see Joe joined and Sarah, super awesome.
Looks like your code, your website has some breaking elements. It depends if it breaks before our code or after. Let me see. Yep, it hasn't loaded yet. You have something here. Your Bootstrap client runner seems to be airing out on your website, and preferred app by Banner Wrapper. That could be a plugin that you have that seems to be it has a broken link. So this could be yeah, some other plugins that are broken, as you could see here on your website. Seems like they're having some issue. But a way around that could be, let me see if I actually see it injected anywhere.
What Danny is saying is that whoever built your website, Melissa, included probably some applications that are breaking your website and are not running, and that probably break the stuff. It's like CSI for websites.
Mhm. Yeah, it could be a plugin, yeah, that just came in and has a simple, yeah, I don't even see it. Have you even published it? I don't see it loading at all.
So show them how to publish the
Let me
chatbot.
see if I can get access to Wix. Let's see if I can pull up a sample.
So while we're doing this, guys, and you're still here, so thank you. Tell me, I'd love to know, what are you going to use this for? Is it going to be a lead gen? Is it going to be customer support? Is it going to be sharing your book, your knowledge, your classes? Which one did you choose? Lead gen. Awesome. Getting people to your calendar for connection calls. I love it. Man, wouldn't that be awesome? I'm mostly interested in an agent that can help me identify
So,
trending topics and send me a weekly report. So that's not the agent, Melissa. What we're doing right now is the chatbot. The agent would be like Bob the blogger. There's a difference. This one, this
or a custom
chatbot is
agent
to
that you
interact
can have.
with anyone coming. What's that?
I was agreeing with you saying that's an agent. You could set up an agent. That's the autonomy side to say, I don't want to prompt you. I want you to just go do it by yourself. So that's where you have autonomy. And it's, again, the beauty of it is in our system, an agent is just a chatbot that grows up and has additional features. So we'll show you how to do that as well in future workshops. But we'll give it tooling, we'll give it access to the internet so it can actually search the internet. It can use systems like Perplexity to go search and do a deep search into things, write a really in-depth article, review, analysis, and then email it back to you. So we'll show you how to do that in future workshops. For Melissa here on Wix, if you paste the code in here, give it a name like Gnome Chatbot or whatever you like. Just try to give it a unique name. Say if you want it to load on all pages or not. And then if you should put it on the body end, but if there's something before it that's breaking it, because what happens is the JavaScript, if it finds something that breaks, it won't continue. So if you have a plugin that's doing that, you can put it on the beginning or the head. It'll work. We try not to break other people's code. So we put it at the very bottom, but if other people's code is breaking ours, you could just switch it and put it on the top. So give that a shot and hit apply and see if that works for you or not.
Any other questions?
And
Well,
then always happy to follow up later in the future. Anybody who's having a problem, please reach out to us. We'll help you and maybe spend some one-on-one time getting you set up.
everybody here, any other questions? Melissa, we will follow up with you and make sure that it's there. Just join our WhatsApp group and I have you, so we'll follow up and make sure that everything is going. Fine-tuning my FAQ and adding instructions to my bot, so very cool. Daniel, you were going to send separate notes about
The scroll bar, color styling, and the Z index and the send button. So there's going to be a follow-up for that.
We got you covered, guys. So thank you so much for joining us today on a Friday. I hope this was worth your time. I appreciate that. We're looking forward to seeing all your chatbots and the amazing things they do for you. Thanks so much. See you next time.